Hello, I'm Gabriel Gold,
And I'm Oscar Young.
and welcome back to another Stanley Gibbons video. Today we'll bring you the second installment of the What's in the Vault videos, and we're delighted to present to you a couple of items which I've picked out from the Great Britain stock, and I believe you picked out a couple of items as well, is that right?
I have done indeed, but these are actually from our Commonwealth stocks, and we're going to talk to you all about them and see why we think they're particularly interesting and see if any of them tickle your fancy as well. So I made the executive decision to start and go first. And for the first stamp that we're going to look at today, we're going to talk about a favourite classic of mine, and that is one of the very nice ships issues from British Guiana. This particular example is SG11, and it's the 1 cent vermilion. It's not the most amazing or stamp in that regard. It doesn't have an amazing backstory about it, but I just think it's a particularly nice example. It's got a very clear cancel. The colour is lovely. The condition is overall very nice. And sometimes with stamps, it's just the quality speaks for itself.
So the first item I've selected is this twopence Mulready envelope. Now you may look at it and think it's just a standard twopence Mulready, but the thing is this has been cancelled contrary to regulations, as the Maltese cross cancel is supposed to be struck right over Britannia.
Why did they have to cancel right over Britannia? It sort of ruins the design, I always thought.
Well, that was sort of the point, to be fair, but also if someone then used a penny black or tuppenny blue to upgrade the postage and put the stamp right over Britannia, the postal authorities could deduce that perhaps the Mulready had been reused, although there's no evidence to support the fact that this ever actually happened.
Sticking with the West Indies, we're going to be transporting ourselves to Montserrat. For this particular stamp here, a 4p blue. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this stamp? It's a normal stamp. It's SG11, a 4p blue from Montserrat. But looks can be deceiving. If you look closely, you can actually discover a lot about this stamp because it isn't what it says it is. This is in actual fact one of the very famous Sperati forgeries that he did. So that the stamp impression is forged and the postmark is fake, but the paper and watermark are genuine. It is incredibly cleverly done, and I don't think there are enough said about these in terms of being wonderful works of art in their own right, despite the fact that they are quite openly philatelic forgeries or philatelic reproductions, as he used to like to brand them.
So the next item I've picked sort of follows on from the Mulready I picked, my first item, and it's a caricature. And you may look at the Mulreadys and think, it's a timeless design, everyone must have loved them. But the thing is, at the time, in 1840, they were met with ridicule as they were far too radical for the time, and many manufacturers sort of parodied them. For instance, Southgate here, this is Southgate number 1, parodied it with this man being pickpocketed, a gentleman being strung up on the nooses, and a drunkard leaning on Britannia. And it's sort of just taken the mickey out of the Mulready envelopes, really.
So my third item from the Commonwealth is one of the most colourful and attractive sets, I think personally, and I know a lot of people agree with me, that was ever issued or indeed ever produced by a manufacturer. And this has to be the North Borneo 1931 50th anniversary set. It really does epitomise the quality of design, colour, and just composition, really, of what stamps could be like at the height of designs in the 1930s. At this time, it was printed by Bradbury Wilkinson, and it is just this gorgeous set. And this particular set, it's not a rare set, but it's a set that is difficult to get hold of in good condition, and even with some small faults, it doesn't detract from overall just colour and freshness that this particular set has to offer. And again, I think that's why it should be in your collection.
So up next, I have a slightly more expensive stamp, priced at £24,000, but there's a good reason for it. It's one of the rarest stamps that Great Britain have produced as an issued stamp. This is the 2-shilling brown. The story behind this stamp is that it wasn't particularly widely used at the time. What happened was there was a 1-shilling stamp and a 5-shilling stamp already being used, and the colour of it made it look a lot like the 10p red brown, which was also an issue at the time. So imagine you're in a dimly lit Victorian post office. It could be rather challenging to tell the difference between stamps, so they had to rely on the colour quite a bit, so it was withdrawn rather shortly after use.
For my last item, I thought we've done a lot of stamps. Now let's look at a nice cover. Another one of my favourite sets, and one of the favourite pictorial sets, has to be the 1953 Queen Elizabeth II set for Southern Rhodesia. Again, very colourful, very attractive, and this is quite a scarce example of the full set on cover. It's not a first day cover. It was cancelled a year after in 1954 and was produced for dealers, but you just don't see this set on first day cover or indeed any form of cover. pretty scarce. And I believe you've got the last lot we're going to talk about today, Gabriel.
I do indeed. I've got a 2 shilling 6pence lilac here, printed by Delarue, and you may look at it and think it's just a normal 2 and 6 lilac.
If there's nothing special about it at all.
However, once you look at the back, you realise there's more to it than just meets the eye. You see, there's a menu printed here, and it was printed by Charles J. Phillips, a very eminent philatelist at the time, for one of his elaborate dinners that he would hold. And Phillips, he was a big player, the grand fromage, if you will, in philately, and he purchased Stanley Gibbons in 1890 for £25,000, and also had the privilege of signing the Roll of Distinguished Philatelists in 1921. You may know him as the author of Stamp Collecting, The King of Hobbies and The Hobby of Kings.
So I hope you've enjoyed the second installment in our Stanley Gibbons What's in the Vault series of videos, and I know we've enjoyed filming it, haven't we, Gabriel?
Indeed I have.
Now I'm going to leave this video particularly hungry, but also mouth-watering over the various stamps that we've shown you that are in our ever-changing stocks. And if there are any items that are taking of interest, please do get in touch with us. We're more than happy to serve the collector needs.
Alternatively, you can find these items at stanleygibbons.com/vault.